Something's happening with this coercive recruiter, though, and there seems to be many of them. They steal many things. Oh god, including our commander.
Today at Commander Replay, we kick off Elder Dragon Week with Tanazir Quandrix. There's gonna be some tokens, and there's gonna be some +1/+1 counters. Next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, help support me and save 15% on singles by using the promo code REPLAY at mothershipaTX.com. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange.
Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Tanazir Quandrix today, and today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Jeff. Oh, if we had a green in this opener, I would totally keep it, but I'm gonna mulligan this. I think that's a little too risky. If we don't catch the green, we don't play Magic, so that's not exactly a place I want to be. This seems perfectly reasonable. We got some ramp at 4, got a Primal Vigor, Hydroid Crassus, Raven form I added into the deck. This all seems good. We'll keep. There were 2 cards that are in Commander 2021 that were not yet available on Magic Online, so we're rolling without them. Added a couple cards into the deck. I think a card didn't import also. So had a couple extra deck slots to play with. Added a Raven form, a Rampant Growth, and a Captain's Clause. I think Captain's Clause could be interesting with Tanazir because it makes tokens, and you can turn them into 4/4s, and that seems kind of cool. Opponent's going to crack a Terramorphic. Yep. Ooh, we're facing a Jared Carthalion. Haven't seen this one yet. A lot of people talked about it. I haven't seen it. So this should be good. Anyway, brings it to our turn 1. There's a Hunter's Insight. We'll play the Command Tower. Nothing to do on 1, so we'll tap out and pass. So let's take a read of our commander. Tanazir Quandrix. Out of Strixhaven, 5 mana for a 4/4 flying trample. When it enters the battlefield, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Whenever it attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of other creatures you control become equal to Tanazir's power and toughness until end of turn. So, interesting deck. Cares about +1/+1 counters and also likes having a lot of small creatures or other creatures with +1/+1 counters on them because you can make them bigger and do some wild stuff with that. So, I got a glimpse at this in another video that was in the Strixhaven Tribal video that I did, and we did get to have some fun with Tanazir, so I'm excited to check this one out today, and yeah, we'll see how things go. Anyway, it brings back to our turn. There's the Rampant Growth. Beautiful. Play the Forest, play the Rampant Growth. We'll get an island since there's a lot more forests in the deck. I think they're going to be easier to pull out, and we're more likely to draw them off the top, so. Oh, did I accidentally get the forest instead? I accidentally got the forest instead. Oh well. We'll get an island next time. That's a Yuri coming into play, Master of Review. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a counter on it. When it dies, deal damage equal to its power to any target. It seems good. Oh, that's a Dargo and Sengir deck. That'll be interesting. I also haven't really seen Dargo at all. The text on there just seems to lend itself to do combo-y things, and that makes me nervous. It makes me very nervous about what we're doing. Opponent's going to cast their Jared Carthalion, comes into the battlefield. Target opponent becomes the Monarch, so the Rionya Fire Dancer opponent becomes the Monarch. And that'll bring it back to our turn. There's a Nadir Kraken. We'll play this island. We'll play the Migration Path. And I think we'll get one of each. We have ramped. The ramping is going well. It's turn 3. When we untap on turn 4, we have 6 lands in play. We could play a 7th if we hit our land drop. I should probably start reading some of these cards, because Simic. I haven't played Simic in a long time. I forget what a lot of them do. Hydroid Crassus. When you cast a spell, you gain X half-life and draw half X cards round down each time. We might be doing that for the card draw just to hit that next land drop. Flying and Trample enters the battlefield with X counters on it. Then potentially we could like double it up with Tanazir or something like that. Primal Vigor, very similar to Doubling Season, although I think this affects everyone. Double the tokens, double the +1/+1 counters, really good card for this deck. Raven form, we talked about Hunter's Insight is some card draw for us. And Nadir Kraken, whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it and create a blue tentacle token. Yeah, seems like that'll fit right into this deck. Is that a Theros? Oh wow, just hit a major lag spike. So opponent must have attacked with the Yuri. Some craziness happened. So the lag spike hit. Oh, I see. Okay, so opponent Jessica's Willed. They probably got 7 mana out of that. They played Seething Song. They cast the Solemn Simulacrum, got a land. Then they played Rionya, Fire Dancer, and created X copies of another creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. They gain haste, exile them at the end step. Got themselves 2 more Solemn Simulacrums. They've outramped us. Wow, that's impressive. I'm sorry the video for that didn't come through. That's a little disappointing, but this Rionya looks kind of serious. Completely forgot about this one and all the stuff that's been coming out. But Pauper loves his red. He plays a lot of red decks. If anyone's going to have a good red deck, it's going to be him, and he's going to show us some cool stuff with this deck. So that is an Onaganata coming into play on the Jared Carthalion. It's now a 6-3 with Trample. We'll take a read of the Jared Carthalion while we're here. Being piloted by Mugen80. So when it enters the battlefield, target opponent becomes the Monarch. You can't become the Monarch this turn. Shuts off haste being a thing. If damage would be dealt to Jared Carthalion while you're the Monarch, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on it. I've heard you do Voltron things with it. That seems like it makes sense. That seems like what opponent's doing right here. It's a weird card to think about. You know, I think they have a lot of incentive to attack Pauper and take that Monarch token back from them. Also, the fact that they just ramped like crazy. So opponent hits Pauper, takes the Monarch, and now damage will be prevented to Jared Carthalion. That brings it back to our turn. There's a Letargia Mirror Lake. Hope I said that one right. Enters the battlefield tap. We can add a blue. 5. Sacrifice it. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter, only activated as a sorcery. So we'll get that into play. I was wanting to make that land drop. I think we play the Hydroid Crassus this turn. We can pay X4, which will get us 2 card draws and 2 counters, and that seems completely reasonable. Oh, no, it'll gain us 2 life and 2 counters, and it'll come in as a 4/4. So there's 2 additional lands. Excellent. And we can double that thing up next turn, which seems totally legit, and we'll pass like that. Our final opponent, by the way, is Delta Fiend piloting Dargo the Shipwrecker and Sengir the Dark Baron. Haven't really seen either of these in a game yet. So Dargo is 7 mana 7/5. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may sacrifice any number of artifacts or creatures. The spell costs 2 less for each permanent sacrificed this way, and 2 less for each other artifact creature you've sacrificed this turn. And it's partnered with Sengir the Dark Baron. Whenever another creature dies, put 2 counters on Sengir. Whenever another player loses the game, you gain life equal to that player's life total as the turn began. So it looks like it's going to be some sort of red-black aristocrat style deck with some trickiness out of Sengir and some other stuff. So should be kind of interesting, but in the meantime, Pauper is going to show us what's what and gets multiple copies of a coercive recruiter. Also stealing the Jared Carthalion, stealing our Hydroid Crassus, stealing the Sifter of Skulls, and going on the big attack. Yeah, this deck seems pretty strong. Oh no, that's a Sundial of the Infinite. Exile the Recruiter. They're going to do that whole thing. I hope we still get our stuff back. Oh, thank God. We still get our stuff back because it's not one of those tricky red triggers that says at the beginning of the end step. It's just until end of turn. Yeah, Pauper doing some things over there. Kind of being a threat. They do wrestle back the Monarch token from Mugen. Most of those attacks went to Mugen, by the way. We're still at 42. Armory of Iroas. Whenever equipped creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Seems good. And they're going to swing into Mugen. Seems like they have a little blood feud going on over there. They're going to block with the Recruiter. Jared Carthalion wrestles back their Monarch token, but Jared does die. Was low on toughness. They block with the 4/3, so that trades. Does put him up to 10 commander damage, though, and that's a pretty serious thing that they'll want to watch out for. Brings back to our turn, we draw another forest. Let's go ahead and play an island right here. I'm not sure I want a Hunter's Insight yet, because this is the type of thing where, like, you can draw a lot of cards in this deck. You could draw, like, half your deck with this thing. I'm feeling like we're okay on resources right now. We have lands, we have some other things that we can do. So I might play those out and really try to get a lot of value out of this thing before going wild with anything else. 8, I believe, is exactly enough for Tanazir and the Deer Kraken, and that seems like a very reasonable line of play. The other thing we could do... we should be careful with that Primal Vigor. Yeah, I think I want to hold off on the Primal Vigor, actually, because of Rionya. There's also a Sifter of Skulls out there. All seems pretty dangerous. So, you know what I was thinking? You know what we should do? We should... Let's go Tanazir. Double up this Hydroid Crassus. It's an 8/8. And we'll just Raven form. Oh, we can foretell this thing? Yeah, we'll just hardcast it. Let's just hit this Sundial of the Infinite. Sundial of the Infinite can do some wild things, and I'm not really looking to find out what those are. We could steal the Monarch token. I feel like that gets us attacked more than I'd like to be attacked, though. So we'll just poke Pauper. He seems to be doing things over there. I think he's the threat, plain and simple. So 8/8 Flying Trample over his way. Down to 21 he goes. So one thing with Tanazir is that it really likes creatures that are 0/0s that come in with plus counters on them, because then you give them an additional +4 basically, or well +4 assuming no counters on Tanazir. Tanazir can make them bigger than that. if you pump up the Tanazir. Opponent gonna poke with the Yuri. Yep, they're gonna take the Monarch. We are doing fine on card draw, and might go Hunter's Insight this turn, because we can get like 8 or 12 off of it. It's gonna be pretty silly, although opponent's leaving up a lot of mana right here, which is maybe not the time to try a Hunter's Insight. Ogre Battle Driver, that's a serious Magic card. Chaos Warp on the bird, interesting. And Chaos Warp the token, see if they can get something else cool. They do indeed get something else cool. It's a Meteor Golem. That is pretty lucky. Into the Ogre Battle Driver, Meteor Golem on the Hydroid Crassus. Not great. Not great. Had plans for that. And are they going to get a second? Yeah, they're going to get another one. Another Meteor Golem. Okay, opponent's thinking not. They're going to Obnixilis Cruelty on the Meteor Golem, so it's going to fizzle the trigger. That's a big play. Also, yeah, definitely scary about trying to go in on Hunter's Insight with all that open mana. Question is, would I go in on just 4 right now? I might hold off. They're going to swing into Jared Carthalion. Mugen's down to 17. He recast the Jared Carthalion. Makes us the Monarch. Love it. Card draw will be nice, although a lot of creatures on board, so we're definitely going to want to get some blockers. We draw a Scavenger Grounds. That's actually probably kind of helpful, I think. No, never mind. That's more of a Storm thing, but I'm sure at some point it'll matter. Yeah, I really don't want to cast the Primal Vigor with this thing trying to make extra tokens. Seems like a bad time. Almost thinking about getting Raven form back just to get rid of their commander one time. But even then, I think they have so much mana now, they just recast it. It doesn't do that much. Thinking about getting back the Hydroid Crassus. Doesn't seem awful. I mean, we could risk it for a turn and try to get the Primal Vigor. Maybe we risk it for a turn. We're still at 42. 42 is difficult to deal. Let's get the Primal Vigor. Play the Nadir Kraken. And this will leave us with the one we need at the end step to draw with the Monarch, so that seems reasonable. I'm going to leave back the blocker right here. Just a lot of stuff on board. We draw at the end step. There's a trigger. It's a forest. There's the Nadir Kraken trigger. We'll pay the 1. And that makes 2 1/1s for us. So we've got some blockers now. Dig it. Ooh. And it puts 2 counters on the Nadir Kraken. That's good. Rakshasa Gravecrawler has Exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When you exploit, create 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, and they're going to do that. Yuri's going to get some counters. They'll make some zombies, and they'll get some Eldrazi. You can do 1 to us. All those tokens are doubled. They get a bunch of tokens. 4 2/2s, 2 1/1s. Yeah, that seemed like a legit trade right there. Trade their 1 2/2 for a whole bunch of tokens. We do have to survive this Rionya turn, though. Primal Vigor could do some wild stuff for them. There's a War Room. They have 4 cards. Doesn't seem like they've shown any signs of slowing down. Combustible Gear Hulk. Woof. That's a really good card. With an Ogre Battle Driver trigger, so it'll be an 8/6 with haste and first strike. Point the damage at Mugen. Man, they have some bad blood. Mugen pays the life. Doesn't want them drawing. I love it. They mill Bonder's Ornament, Ignite the Future, and Tibalt's Trickery. Those are all good cards. Glad they don't have them. Something's happening with this Coercive Recruiter, though, and there seems to be many of them. They steal many things. Oh god, including our commander. So everything could become 4-something. All seems bad. We're left with 2 1/1s at least. Not a lot of trample out there, so we can block something, but I think some people, namely Mugen, probably about to die. Delta did say before the game he didn't feel confident that his deck was really going to live up to the power level of what was going on at this table. Not that this is a crazy strong game, but it's definitely a very solid mid-power one. The red deck's definitely a little aggressive. We've got some stuff out there. They said they're kind of hitting all their late drops and not hitting the mana rocks, and, you know, that could be any number of things from bad luck on Magic Online to maybe needing a couple tweaks in the deck, bringing the curve down a teeny bit, a little bit more ramp at the beginning, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of creatures on his board. He can do some stuff with that. The thing here is that, that Tanazir ability, it's going to do some stuff. Opponent only has 1 blocker left, so that's something. Do we need the 2 attackers? If our 2 creatures become 4/4s, you know, I think I'm going to take the big hit and try to have the most attackers that we can. Hope nothing goes wrong with that. Opponent's going to do some blocking. Yeah, we might need to think about getting that Raven Ford back to shoot a creature. Namely their commander. Their commander is just doing a lot. Reminds me a lot of Kiki Jiki, but it can make more copies in a single turn than Kiki Jiki does. Definitely makes it a bit more explosive, but maybe a little bit less consistent because you need spells you can cast, but yeah. So far, they're showing us some stuff. Mugen goes down to first strike damage. We take a pretty big hit and go to 26. They'll wrestle back the Monarch token. There's an Anger for opponent. That's a second blocker, and that is important. And it gets an Ogre Battle Driver trigger. Opponent draws a card, they can make a token. That's not great. They've got the mana up. It will pump the thing, though. And they'll want to be careful with that. You know, maybe we actually need to exile the Coercive Recruiter. Because that's really what's getting us, although we kind of just need a board wipe. Brings it back to our turn. We draw a card. It's an Arch of Oriska, and that's maybe not what I was looking for. Kind of need some pretty hard removal. I think I will use the Nadir Kraken ability, though. That gets us 2 more 1/1s. So I think the play here is going to be... We know they're going to block that one. If we make these 4/4s, would they block? We can try paving the road for the other opponent. They have some stuff they can attack with. Yeah, I think I'm going to send all this stuff. Because we can make 2 more tokens at the end step also. Tanazir ability, we're going to use it. Yes. So some pretty serious damage going into opponent, but they do have a lot of blockers. They're going to block with their Anger, which I might exile. We only have so much mana to work with, though, and that's kind of a concern right now. We do eat some of their tokens. Do we draw 4 with the Hunter's Insight? If we do, we'll have exactly enough left to Balaged Recovery into Raven form, unless we draw something else. I think we need a Hunter's Insight, though. Psalm Simulacrum, Monarch trigger. See if we draw anything cool. Multiple removal spells would be good. Those are some real cards, but, oh. We can make a crap ton of tokens with Nadir. Can we make so many tokens that they can't kill us? That'd be 8 tokens? Yeah, I think we can. Let's do that. That seems like a plan. And then if they don't answer it, we probably kill them. That seems very reasonable. I know what we're going to do. We are going to use Command Tower, play a Soul Ring, then play the Scavenger Grounds, and if we need to exile stuff, although there's still a Ogre Battle Driver, but yeah, and then we'll leave up the Scavenger Grounds in case we need to exile their graveyard. End step trigger, we get to draw. It's a Bane of Progress. Not paying for this one, we need to hold that mana up. How many things would Artifact hit? It hits the Gear Hulk, hits a Signet, doesn't do that much, so we're probably going to hold off on the Bane of Progress. This thing's now huge, it's a 16/17. It's pretty large. Pretty large. Bastion of Remembrance seems good. They make a human soldier. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. That's a great place to be. They make 2 tokens with the Primal Vigor. So we just need to survive this turn. Now, they've got 4 cards. See what they can do. That's Ignite the Future. That's the start of a nasty turn. Oh, that's with Flashback also. Sword, Dualcaster Mage, Shadow Spear. Real Magic cards. We are all blue, which is helpful. Shadow Spear. Do have to watch out for the trample. Is this 2 to equip? I always forget on this thing. Yeah, it's 2 to equip. So at this exact second, they can only choose between... Oh, that's a Mind Stone. They can choose between Shadow Spear or Feast and Famine. They don't have a clear path with either. Some colorless creatures running around. We have blue creatures. Feast and Famine on the Battle Driver. Yep. Gonna get that Rionya trigger. Yep. They're gonna get themselves some Gear Hulks. Gear Hulks are good. But opponent's thinking not. That's a Vona's Hunger. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Well, I guess that doesn't do that much. If you have the City's Blessing, they sacrifice half the creatures. Oh, that could do something. They don't have the City's Blessing, though. So I think we're good. Now they have the City's Blessing. Ooh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. So opponent will lose 2. That's fine, I guess. We're gonna lose a bunch. We need to sacrifice... Oh my god, 7 creatures? Wow. Sacrifice a bunch of 1/1s. Why did opponent get 4? Oh my god, that's a problem. That's 4 combustible Gear Hulk triggers. We're just gonna have to let them draw because we can't take the damage on all that. Draw 3 cards, yes. It's a lot of 8/6s. Ooh, everything into Delta. Now Bane of Progress starting to look decent. Gets rid of all the Gear Hulks. Feast and Famine, Shadow Spear, Arcane Signet. Hits our Primal Vigor and our Soul Ring. Those are good, but based on what they're getting rid of. Also the Bastion of Remembrance. This thing will get you killed. There's 4 Bastion of Remembrance triggers and a Sifter of Skulls trigger. But we have enough damage to just kill opponent, especially after the Bane of Progress. Because they're only going to have 1 blocker. They have to block that one, and this kills them. They have 15 cards in hand. Just let them draw everything. Too much draw. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Nadir Kraken trigger. Need to check on our mana here. We'll have 12 mana, 13 when we play a land. Yeah, we can pay for this. Get 2 more tokens. The thing gets a little bigger. Unfortunately, that puts us a little bit below Beastmaster Ascension damage. It's unfortunate. Let's use that for mana. Oh, wait a second, though. It puts a counter on it, and this doubles the number of counters. It would be 14 mana to go Bane of Progress, Doubling Season, Beastmaster Ascension. Maybe we don't Bane of Progress then. Because if we attack and double everything up, and also if we put Tanazir's ability on the bottom, I think Beastmaster Ascension will make it huge, and then everything is just giant to the point where, like, a single creature is probably lethal. Yeah, that seems fun. Let's do that. So, no Bane of Progress this turn. Oh, it'll be even funnier if we play a Doubling Season first. Yeah, let's do that. Play the Arch. Play the Doubling Season. Play Beastmaster Ascension. Go to combat. This will give him +4. Yeah, I think we can send one over to Delta. We'll send our commander over to Delta. Send the rest to Pauper. Bunch of triggers go off. Tanazir on the bottom. Beastmaster on top. Ooh, opponent's going to get a third blocker with the Dualcaster Mage. Hope that doesn't mess anything up. That's a good play. If we played an instant or sorcery, they could have copied it. Tanazir's got 9 power, so we'll turn everything into 9/9s. And they become 14s, so yeah, a single one of these is lethal. Just the way I thought that would work. Beastmaster Ascension, pretty real Magic card. Opponent's going to try and block. Saying GG. Down they go, -32. Woof. We'll Bala Ged Recovery the Hydroid Crassus back to our hand in case anything goes wrong. Opponent needs to have a board wipe right here. Or make some other really big play that is going to be difficult on their limited mana. So they're in a pretty bad spot. There's a token at the end step. Ooh, it's an Azuri's Predation. I guess we'll pay this and make some more stuff. Oh, this is going to give us 4 tokens? Yeah, love it. Nice. And Beastmaster Ascension's active, so they are 6/6s. Gotta be a board wipe. Sir Conrad. Yeah, if they had just like a little bit more mana to their name, if they got that Sir Conrad in just a little bit earlier, they'd be doing stuff. They would burn through our life super fast, especially with the Bastion of Remembrance out. Here comes Shadows of the Past. Whenever a creature dies, scry one. Yeah, so opponent just choking on mana base and clunkiness a little bit. Especially they said they were looking for a bit slower game. It's turn 8. It's been a very aggressive, very fast playing kind of game. Opponent sacrificing stuff. Gonna burn us down. Down to 17. Ooh, Pauper said he misplayed. He forgot he had the Dualcaster when the Vonas happened. That would have been really spicy. Oh, opponent said Blasphemous Act is on top of their library. Ouch. Yep. Brings it back to our turn. We'll pay 1 for the thing. We draw a Master Biomancer. Master Biomancer, pretty funny card. Play a land, go to combat. Send them. These are all 6/6s naturally, so oh my god. Those are things. We're not going to use the ability here, since they are 6/6s. Although, ooh, are they 1/1s or are they 6/6s? How does that work with Beastmaster Ascension? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we would have got additional pump out of them. But down they go, -72. That's a hit. Yeah, what a fast, aggressive game. Game played super quick. That was 8 turns in about 60 minutes. Yeah, that's cruising. That is cruising. No one really had any long turns, which was awesome. Not a lot of removal this game. That's the big thing. I don't think there was ever a true board wipe. We had the one piece of spot removal. I think there was maybe a second somewhere. Just very removal light kind of game. Powerful things out there. So the game will be quick when that happens. As far as thoughts on the deck, probably a bit more removal. I was pretty nervous against what the red deck was doing. You could go for Cyclonic Rift. That's kind of the big, powerful, super spiky one. But just something like an Aether Spouts or an Aetherize to keep you protected from attacks, I think is going to be a pretty good idea. We can pull out the Captain's Claws. You could try out the Captain's Claws. I think it'd be a cute little card to try out in the deck. I'm not saying it's like best in slot or anything, but I think it might be fun. What else did I add in here? I added a Rampant Growth. You should probably add a Rampant Growth. Just to have more to do at 2 mana. I might look for a couple cards just to help alleviate your 3 drops a little bit. I do see you have some Mana Dorks in there. That can help if there's a Mana Dork in the opener. But just have maybe like 1 or 2 more things to do at 2 mana just so you don't get stuck. But there will be games where your deck starts at turn 3, and that'll be kind of an issue sometimes. But if you have one of these, then it should be pretty good. I've played decks like that. It's fine. If you want to keep it a little bit more casual, this is one way to do it. Just don't give yourself a lot of stuff to really have a blazing start. And, you know, everyone's going to get at least 3 or 4 turns of just like getting their lands in. And they should have some mana to be able to react to what you're doing, as opposed to like have 6 mana on turn 2 and play some big crazy thing that no one even has mana or the ability to draw to get a thing to like you know, kill whatever you just played. So anyway, overall, I thought the deck played pretty well. I think Ether Eyes, Ether Spouts would probably be the two things that I would add just to protect yourself against aggressive decks. Depends on where you're playing this. This seems like it's probably in a more creature-based meta than anything. I'm not getting the inclination this is playing in a combo-based meta. So that being the case, give yourself a few ways to protect yourself from creatures. Those are a great way to do it. Even something as simple as like a fog, obscuring haze, any of that stuff can be good just so you don't die to combat. But other than that, I thought it played really well. We hit really well with the ramp at the beginning. We went rampant growth into the migration path, and that's just a great place to be. So after that, our lands kind of died down a little bit. I guess we were still making... Actually, no, we did fine. I think we were up to 13 lands at the end, so that's a great place to be. Turn 8? Yeah, that's actually a really good place to be. So the lands were not the issue. Yeah, I thought it played well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.